Well, hello. How are you? I'm just really glad you're here. It's my absolute pleasure, mission, and purpose to help make an impact, a difference in your life by teaching you the skills you need to really empower yourself to have the life that you really want. And I find that a lot of the work that I do is like helping people give themselves permission to have the things they want to have. Like today's training, for example, is 6 surefire signs your situation is whack and that you should get out. Why am I doing this training? Well, if you're a type of person where you just walk from stuff, you're like, oh, see ya, I don't care, bye, and you just leave, then click out, honey. This isn't for you. This isn't going to be helpful for you. Who I'm really aiming to help are the people like me that in the past I was a ride or die, a go down with the ship. No, make no mistake. The person I'm ride or dying with is committing vehicular manslaughter on my ass, but I'm in the car like, where are we going today? You know, I didn't know when to get out of things. I had a bad habit of holding on until the very end. And listen, I know why I did it now. I know because I was delusional. I thought there was some kind of prize for being a ride or die, for being loyal, for sticking it out. And the thing is that all the people that I work with that spend most of their lives doing things to make other people comfortable, make other people put everybody else's needs before their own, it's like suddenly one day, the light bulb goes off and we go, holy shit, nobody's actually doing that for me. I better do that for me, right? I better start putting myself first. And that's the whole concept behind the work that I do, is giving my clients permission and my people that I work with permission to actually live their life and stop living it for everybody else. Stop doing what everybody else wants you to do and actually do you. Amen. Hallelujah. How amazing would that be? I get choked up. I get verklempt. It's so important. Okay. I basically got my daughter's letters because here's what happened. I don't know if this happened to you if you're a parent, but I went to the conference when Ellie was like 2.5 years old at the school. And the teacher was like, okay, everybody go ahead and sit down. And Doug and I were like, okay, serious. So we sat in those little chairs that are made for toddlers. And we sat down in the chairs and we're sitting there and she puts over this paper with all the letters on them. And then everything was highlighted, like the letters, right? So she scoots across the piece of paper and she goes, these are the letters, and the highlighted ones are the ones that Ella V knows. And as you can see, there's only 2 letters highlighted. Like she literally made Ellie sound from my ears like she was the dumbest 2.5-year-old in the world, and like she should know everything. So I went out like, you know, any parent would and was like, we're gonna do some letters. And what have we done with them? Well, as you can see, I'm using them for my training today because honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care if Ella V knows her numbers or not, or letters, but she does now. But I didn't care because I was like, it's more important to me that she knows social skills. She knows how to be herself and be with people. That's more important to me than whether or not she can spell her own name at 2.5 years old or even 5. I don't give a shit. I just want her to be able to be functioning in the world of relationships. Because for me, your happiness, as you know, is a direct correlation to the level of your happiness in your relationships. And a lot of you are in pretty dysfunctional situations. And I just don't think intimate relationships when I say this. I want you to be thinking about today's training. I want you to be thinking about today's training like your work situation, your friendship situation, your intimate situation, your family situation. I want you to expand your parameters, because when people hear life and relationship coach, they think, oh, I'm just going to teach you how to flirt. Well, honey, come on, right? I want to teach you how to be really successful in your relationship so that you can be happy, ultimately. So let's get down to it. Are you guys ready to go? Ooh, shout out to my romper that I found at Goodwill. Anybody else into Goodwill? Love it. All right, let's go. Okay, so we're going to start with these little acronyms that I have, because you know I'm the acronym queen, so we're going to get into it. So G, I have notes because I made up this training this morning, and I'm going to be looking at them as we go. You guys are ready? Good. Thanks for the faces. G in the acronym that I have for you today is get out. Get out. Okay, that's the acronym that we're going to be using. So the G in the get out is gearing up. Gearing up. What does that mean? That means that you're the type of person where you're always getting ready to go. You're always getting ready to pull the trigger. You're always getting ready to have enough ammunition so it's bad enough that you'll actually be so dissatisfied. If it's that bad, that's really the only time that you actually pull the trigger on anything. Yeah, I know, I was in a relationship for like 10 years with this guy that on paper looked really good, but he only wanted me when I was breaking up with him. Okay. And I picked that relationship because it made me prove my value. I picked a man who didn't know my value because he was my mirror. He didn't know my value either. But he had an affinity for other women. He was always like emotionally looking for other people and physically as well. And I remember thinking to myself, if I could just get enough evidence that he's cheating, if I could just catch him in the act, I knew in my internal guidance system that it was whack. Okay, that it was not, he was not for me because of how I felt in the relationship. But I just kept telling myself, if I just have enough ammunition, if it just gets bad enough, then I'll pull the trigger. I'll find a phone number. I'll call up the, and back then I'd be like, I'll call her, I'll tell her about herself. I'm acting like, who am I? Okay, who am I? But that's how I was. I was just seeking evidence. I know a lot of times, people even in their own dysfunctional behavior are like, well, when other people start to point out they're noticing that it's bad, then I'll know it's bad enough to do something. Here's a news flash, my love. It doesn't have to be that bad for you just not to want to do it anymore. That permission in and of itself is humongous. Just knowing you don't need to prove, you don't need to collect enough ammunition. You don't need to have, everything come to a head and it gets so bad. You can just be divinely dissatisfied. And that actually would be enough for you to pull the trigger. So stop gearing up, stop collecting evidence, stop putting everything in your back pocket. So when you finally leave, you feel like you've justified it. You don't need to justify exiting a situation. Because you want to is enough reason. All right? Good. Are we getting somewhere? Love it? Okay, good. I'm glad. All right, let's go to the E. And the E is if you find that you're making a lot of excuses. If you're making a lot of excuses, it's time to get out. What's an excuse? You're justifying something, minimizing it, rationalizing it. I know that even in a bad relationship, you could be with somebody who treats you really poorly, okay? And let's go woman, because I was doing man example. Let's say this woman has a very short fuse. She's always pissed off all the time. You feel like you have to walk on eggshells around her constantly. It's exhausting for you mentally to be able to do that. And you are constantly minimizing and excusing the behavior. So one of your buddies goes, hey man, she's like a ticking time bomb. What's up with that? Are you okay? Like, it seems like she's really always screaming at you and really like verbally abusive even. Like it's terrible. And then he goes, yeah, but you know what? Her parents never really taught her how to argue. And she just is overwhelmed at work and she's got a lot going on. And so that's why she does it. I don't give a shit why. Just because, here's the problem. Just because you can make sense of somebody's behavior doesn't mean you should accept it and tolerate it. I'm going to say that again, because I think that's what people like us have a hard time doing, because you're very empathetic and you're very good at understanding other people's behavior and making sense of things. But just because you can make sense of somebody's behavior doesn't mean that you should continue to expose yourself to it over and over again. A short coworker who constantly just like does crappy stuff to you all the time, and you're like, well, it looks like they're going through a divorce. I'm not interested in that. I want to know, why do you keep signing up for and going in for that when you know that you deserve better than that? We're going to get there. Maybe you don't know you deserve better than that, but I'm here to tell you that you do. So you don't have to tolerate somebody's behavior because you can make sense out of it. I'm a cuckoo bird. All right, I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but my husband shouldn't tolerate it because I'm moody. It's my job to not expose him to my moods. It's my job to know when I'm feeling like a cuckoo bird and take care of myself and love myself so that I don't subject my husband to that behavior. And then I go, well, that's just the way it is. That's just how I am. No, honey, no. You know who ruined it for everybody? Marilyn Monroe, when she said, if you can't handle me at my best, you don't deserve me at my worst. Honey, nobody deserves anybody at their worst. Nobody should have to. That's that mentality, right? I'm going to treat you like crap, but if you love me, you'll stay. Where'd you learn that from? That's how this is supposed to go. Like, that you could treat me any way you want. I'm still here. All you prove is you're emotional sado, that you're a glutton for punishment. You're not proving anything else. You're proving that you don't know your value, but you're not proving that you're, invaluable, because that person, loyalty is only a thing as long as somebody needs you. They're loyal to you as long as they need you. When they don't need you anymore, they become loyal to the new thing. I think a lot of people want loyalty from other people, right? I just want somebody to be there for me through thick and thin. And you say that, and I hear that all the time with my clients. But here's the reality. You need to be there for you thick and thin. That's how you find that. When you decide that you're going to be there for yourself, come hell or high water, your ride or die is here, that you're going to not do anything to hurt you on purpose anymore. You're not going to tolerate anything else anymore. That's when everything's going to change for you and you actually attract it. I remember my come to Jesus meeting after 10 years of doing everything, living my life for approval, for acceptance, for feeling like my value was in my earning, working a corporate job, making a lot of money. As long as I was making money, then I must be a valuable person. Well, one day it all came to a head and I was like, what am I doing? I was a binge drinker behind closed doors with a raging eating disorder, but I'd pretend to be let me prove my value to you. But meanwhile, I'm shitting all over myself every day. Right? So if you're going to be loyal, like, I can't leave that company because that company is like everything to me. Well, honey, you need to be everything to you. Right? And then you'll find lots of people around you to support you and say, yeah, I'm going to be there, a fan of you too, but you need to be the fan first. You need to be your own biggest fan. Life has enough critics. You need to be your own biggest fan. Right? Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? I love that saying. Reminds me of like 70s. Are you bagging what I'm mowing? Right? Yeah. All right, let's move on. How do you know you need to get out now? You're tongue-tied. Cat got your tongue. Cat got your tongue, but you're tongue-tied, meaning you're biting your tongue. You're not speaking your truth in your situation. That's how you know that you need to get out now, because you can't even be who you really are. You can't say what you really think. You can't, you're being squashed. You're being, pounded in. I had a client I was working with recently that said, she has, I do a lot of mother-daughter dynamics that are dysfunctional. And the mother is saying, telling the daughter her opinion and what to do. And instead of the daughter speaking her truth and saying, Mom, when you speak to me that way, really my anxiety kicks in, and I want to be with you and I appreciate your concern, but I can't have that conversation with you because then I get anxious and then I act out, and it's no good for anybody. So let's talk about something else. Instead of doing that and speaking her truth, which is easier, let me tell you, speaking your radical truth is so much easier than biting your tongue. It just, when you start speaking your truth and you do like an integrity cleanse where only the truth comes out, it really does set you free. The Bible was right. I mean, literally in that area. So what she's doing instead with her mom is, when her mom does that, she just bites her tongue. She just sits and then she does passive aggressive things. I'll, not her, but how people do it is, I'll smile to your face, but piss in your pocket. I'll find a way to get you back. I'll withhold affection. A lot of people do that. They bite their tongue in their relationship, but they get them back. They withhold sex. They withhold affection. They withhold attention. And so it's, get out of that situation that you're in. Maybe you don't have to leave that person, but you have to get out of the mentality. When I talk about get out now, I mean, get out of the mind frame, get out of your behavior, break up with what's not working anymore and marry yourself instead, right? That's really what it boils down to. Okay, let's move on. Oh, if you are overing, it's a time to get out. What's overing mean? Well, you're overcompensating constantly. You're over-delivering. You're overcompensating because you're trying to prove your value in this situation. So you keep on just hoping that if you hang in there long enough and you over-deliver, and you just overcompensate, that people are going to finally wake up and see your real value. But that's just not how this thing works. All they're going to do is raise their expectation on your overing. And then when you stop overing and there is no reward, they're going to go, what's wrong with you? I thought you were an overachiever. You got to be over the overachieving. There's no prize for that other than overwhelm. There's overwhelm is the prize for overachieving. And a lot of times when people are overing all the time, they're actually climbing ladders that lean against the wrong wall. They climb the ladder of success to realize it's not the view they wanted in the first place, right? So if you're overdoing it, then you find yourself over medicating, over medicating. I mean, a lot of people who overachieving and over delivering and overcompensating in the hopes that somebody will see them worthy end up over medicating, drinking 2 bottles of wine every night, overindulging in food, ice cream, cookies, to try to compensate, overdoing it. And so that's a sign for you that a lot of the time we feel like, oh, you know what? I just need to break up with the Oreos. That's what I need to break up with because I have a problem with the food. It's not about the food. The food is a metaphor. Every vice that you have that's unhealthy isn't the problem. It's the metaphor pointing the way to the solution. It's like the red herring. It's like in the, Dr. Anita Johnston, who wrote Eating in the Light of the Moon, who kind of founded this whole, eating disorder recovery movement. She started one of the first centers in Hawaii. She talks about how, and I'm saying eating disorders because you can apply it to anything in your life that you're overindulging in, okay? A lot of people don't have an eating disorder, but they can't put down the stuff they want to put down. And it's kind of like in a murder mystery, the whole time everybody's looking at the maid, but then really at the end of the thing, the butler did it. It's like at the end of Sixth Sense when he goes, I see dead people. And he's like, oh my God, I'm dead. And you didn't see that coming. When everybody's focusing on the problem, like, oh, I just need to stop eating that or stop drinking so much wine or whatever it is, you miss the real problem. You're just over medicating. What are you over medicating? What are you overdoing? Where are you overcompensating? Where are you overachieving? And why you're doing that is because you don't understand your real value. And that's where I come in, is I help you understand your real value so you can just stop the craziness. Okay. If you're not overing, you're undering. What are you undering, love? You're undervaluing yourself and you're underestimating yourself. While you're waiting for other people to find out how awesome you are, I want you to consider what would happen if you realized how awesome you are, and not in the stuff kind of way. Right? Whenever I had my come to Jesus thing 10 years ago, when I quit drinking and quit abusing my body and doing all those self-destructive things, I actually was stripped away from everything. In 2008, when the economy crashed, I lost everything. I lost the big fancy, I was a corporate trainer, speaker. I would go into companies that were struggling and I was a business owner and I'd turn them around. Well, nobody was hiring that anymore. Nobody's paying that big money anymore. I lost everything. The fancy title, all the things that I thought made me. And then I was like, oh my God, underneath of it all, who am I without all that stuff? What is my value if it's not performing, pretending, perfecting, comparing, caretaking? If it's not that PC stuff, who am I, right? The only reason that you're having a hard time getting out of anything is because you're hoping there's a prize for staying in it. You're hoping that somebody's going to realize your value. And that's why I keep trying to tell you, they're not, honey. You need to realize your value. Stop undervaluing yourself and seriously stop underestimating yourself. You would be shocked at the things that you're capable of. You would be surprised the first time you tell the truth to somebody about how you really feel and you go, I don't like that. Or get the fuck away from me. The first time you say something like that to somebody else, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't possibly, because you're the feelings police. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to make somebody blow up. You're thinking you're controlling everybody. But I'm going to tell you what right now, the first time you tell the truth in your own life, you never look back. Never. Because it's so liberating. It's so freeing. And then you realize the people that are bothered by this are the people that wanted you to be the puppet in their play. Well, honey, you got your own play. You got your own role in your life. You're not a puppet in their play anymore. All right. The T is the reason that people don't get out is they time travel. I got this from Tony Robbins when I went to, when, my husband Doug was working for him. I went through how many UPWs, Unleash the Power Withins? I must have gone to 10. I don't know. Date with Destiny, And the one thing I really took from that thing was this time travel thing. And I was like, yeah, this is so true. You could be in a really shitty situation right now, a situation that is terrible for you. But the reason that you don't get out of it is because you time travel. You dance your way. I call it the dance of denial that way. You dance your way back into the past and you remember a time when it was worse than it is now. So you're like, well, it's not as bad as it used to be. So you settle and you say, well, okay, right? Or it's bad now, but you time travel to the future and you fantasize and you go, it'll be better later. It'll be better. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to get better later unless you do something to make it better, which is hire a coach, work with me, get involved in your own life and your own, deciding your own value. You're going to lead the charge. You're going to now start actually teaching people how to treat you because you're sick of this shit. All right. You can only eat so much, right? Like I did a post not too long ago at the buffet of life, your job is to eat less shit. It's facts. But I don't know about you, but I know what I used to do is I used to eat it and pride myself, and I would eat a big scooping bowl of shit and you wouldn't know it tasted bad. Isn't that sick? I used to get off on the fact that I could eat shit and you wouldn't know I was eating it. That's how I mean, can I get somebody to relate to this, or am I crazy? I would think if you didn't know that I was bothered, that I won. That was my whole thing. And that's how a lot of people that I work with, like, I can't let them know they bother me. I can't, and our culture perpetuates that. We say, never let them see you sweat, honey. Just put on some red lipstick and march on your day and just pretend you're fine. Well, I'm done fucking pretending. I don't know about you, but until you're done pretending, you're just going to be a puppet in your own play, playing a role. And Jim Carrey had that great quote about depression is your avatar saying, I don't like the role you put me in. I'm tired of playing the role that you want me to play. So what I'm saying is your job isn't to eat less, eat more shit and like make it look effortless. All right. Your job is to eat less shit, period. It's to find a way to start valuing yourself. I call it Love Yourself First. The LIFE program, LYF, Love Yourself First. And I actually have a 7 series of, and discipline's a dirty word to a lot of the people that I work with because they didn't have good discipline when they were younger, right? So don't get turned off by that word. It's really a spiritual practice. Loving yourself first and valuing yourself is not about a spa day or getting your hair done. All right. That's what our culture wants you to think. You love yourself. Get a bath bomb, please. All right. And let's not underestimate our own intelligence. All right. Let's not condescend. If it were that easy, all the women with a weave would feel like $1 million. All right. That's not how this thing works. You know that. So I have 7 disciplines that I walk my people through, men and women, where we learn it's a spiritual practice. If I'm doing these 7 things, then I know that I am living a life for me and my happiness, which is the best gift that I can give another human being on the face of the earth. It's the most selfless thing you can do to learn to love yourself first, because that's how you genuinely love everybody else in your life. If I'm pretending to be somebody for you, guess what I'm doing? I'm resentful. I'm passive aggressive. I don't really love you to my fullest capacity because I'm so pissed at you that I'm pretending. Right? So just be you instead. There are 7 disciplines. The one we talked about today was speaking your truth. A lot of that came up here, right? Learning how to speak your truth. That's just one of the 7 things. I'll tell you another one is learning how to not time travel anymore. It's learning how to live in the present moment. So if you want to know more about these 7 disciplines or spiritual practice that you can do to love yourself first, put this all in the past and stop torturing yourself with people who don't know your value, and stop hanging around in situations or being single. A lot of my clients are just worried they put everybody else before them. Now they're going to end up alone. They're like, what's the point of my life? They lay their head on the pillow at night. They have stuff. My clients are successful. My clients are attorneys. I mean, I have people that are not overachieving, but most of them are. I have surgeons in my practice. These aren't people that don't have stuff. They have reached a certain level of success, but what they realize is they don't have the only thing that counts. Right? They're achieving people, but they don't have what matters most. And so that's what I want for you. I want you to have the thing that matters most to you. What is that? Right? Let's figure it out. But I know the only way to have it is to love yourself first. That's what I know for sure. The only way you're going to have whatever it is that you desire is if you master this thing. I want to walk you through it. Go over to HeidiRain.com. Learn more about that. Send me a message. Reach out to me here. Please share this video if you found it helpful. And I'm going to go back in and read your comments. And the reason enough is not enough, I'll tell you, is because we're not enough. Because I have a problem with my enoughness. I think I am what I have, I am what I do, or I am what you think of me. I don't know who I am outside of those three things. That's the reason we do this. Why there's never enough Oreos is because you can't have enough of what you don't really want. What you want is sweetness in your own life. You want to be valued in your own life, but you're filling up on this other shit, hoping that that'll make you feel enough. Enough success will make you get the love you really deserve. If you get enough stamps on your passport, if you get enough clients in your practice, if you get enough, people following whatever you need them to follow, and that's just, it's empty. That's why people are filling the void. They have this success, but it's not enough because they don't know what enough is. Right? I want to teach you what enough is. That's my goal. My hair stands up because it's my purpose. That's why I'm here. You forgot how awesome you are, and you forgot your value. Let me shed the light. Let me shine the light on your value. I'm not going to change you. I'm going to shed the light and shine it out. And you're going to see it for the first time, probably in a brand new way that you've never seen it before. Okay? I love you very much. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you really soon.